and the feature event, the Great Eastern Steeple. Now, if you think I'm exaggerating, last Monday alone, the two-day Oakbank meeting drew a crowd of more than 70,000 people. And as usual, a good few of them were so engrossed by the activities in the car parks, the racing program finished a bad second. Reporter Mike McCann was sent out on a mission that turned out to be a picnic.
High in the hills, 30 kilometres east of Adelaide, they gather to seek their fortunes.
Each 20 to 5 each way. 98.
More than 100,000 of them, clutching tickets of hope. Just as others do at Flemington, Rose Hill and Ascot. But this meeting's different, much different. The bush in these parts comes alive just twice a year, on Easter Saturday and Easter Monday.
Dr. Sam up and over Pete on the inside, just in front, up and over Pete, going home, up and over Pete has won it from Dr. Sam.
This is Oakbank. Oakbank's an Easter institution in South Australia, and for many it all begins much before the horses jump. Tents are erected and campsites claimed up to weeks earlier to ensure prime vantage points. The wait can be tiring. But the first sign of track work and the reason for the vigil becomes obvious. An eye here, an ear there, to separate winning horses from losers. Come race day and the social event unfolds. Oakbank's known as a picnic meeting. It's not hard to see why. In the mounting yard, there's work to be done. The first of the jump races is the Vondusa Steeple. It's time for last-minute instructions.
Make sure you've got something to race with him. One slap around the arse when you jump.
Cobbler Boy taken on by Sing for Supper, who's ranged up on the outside. Sing for Supper and Cobbler Boy at that one. Sing for Supper out deep on the track. Landed clear of Cobbler Boy, being fitted then by Contract and My Hutch, but Sing for Supper. The whips are hard and cracking. Sing for Supper in front with 100 metres to go. Cobbler Boy is fighting back. Sing for Supper about a half length in front of Cobbler Boy. Sing for Supper down the outside. Sing for Supper home in the west end, Vondusa.
Sing for Supper and New Zealand rider Harry Green first past the post, and for trainer Eric Musgrove, a big race victory. 48 hours later, hats are the order of the day as there's a sign of rain. But that doesn't stop a record 72,000 people cramming the racecourse to see the feature event, the Great Eastern Steeple. Musgrove and Green team up again, their faith this time in the 8-year-old Cosbar, rated a 7-to-1 chance. But it wasn't to be their day. A tangle of hoofs and Cosbar's prospects hit the dust. For one, the race already over, but for the youngest runner in the field, the race is about to be won.
He's about 5 lengths in front, Spring Fortune with 200 metres to go. Spring Fortune 5 lengths to Red Ray Line, a long gap in the field of Turret, who's battling on in third placing, but Spring Fortune has gone
18 lengths the margin in the most authoritative Great Eastern victory in a decade. But for jockey Steve Jenkins, it wasn't without drama.
What happened, he changed stride about the 1,000 and just enough to catch the running rail, and I broke my iron. And I thought, well, I either kick both of them out, which I'd have rolled all around him. I thought, well, it's just as easy to put my foot through the leather. It made it awkward, but...
Spring Fortune was the favourite, and there were winners aplenty. But as the dust starts to settle, the mob starts to disperse, and the Adelaide Hills roll over to sleep it off. A restful 12 months until it all happens again, in Easter '88.
Mike McCann reporting. Well, while a huge crowd of crow-eaters
almost a clean sweep of the major classics in Australian pacing. 50 wins out of 70 starts, including the Inter-Dominion, the Miracle Mile and a couple of Benson and Hedges Cups. Indeed, all 4 major classics in one season. The Easter Cup was not Village Kid's biggest race, but he was well prepared. The $17,500 prize purse set to make him the first West Australian horse to crack the $1 million in prize money won.
He's gone down there, he's run the race of his life. He's had to sit on the outside of Morgan James and do all the work, and he's done it well as a true champion, and he's broken the track record.
So now for the $1 million horse, a holiday well earned.
A couple of months out there just loafing around, as you might say, something like going to surface it is. And then he'll be back in to get prepared for next year's big ones, who knows.
What sort of a future do you think he's got now?
Well, as a racehorse, you never know what's going to happen. They can be here today and gone tomorrow. As an animal, he's going to be looked after for the rest of his life. That much I can guarantee you.
And curiously enough, that means that neither of Australia's $1 million pacers has won the Inter-Dominion because Vin Knight and Gammalite failed both times they tried. Speaking of tries, let's check the Rugby League results and highlights. And the best try from the game between Manly and Eastern Suburbs. East were third on the Winfield Cup ladder, with Manly lying sixth, but regaining the services of former great captain Noel Cleal, returning from injury on the recent overseas tour. The Manly Sea Eagles are in maroon and white, and your commentator is David Morrow.
Cochrane, and there's Cleal, and Cleal goes straight down the centre of that ruck. He's tackled on the quarter line. Gibbs into dummy half is Cochrane. That's Meredith. Oh, he almost got through then. Hasler into dummy half. Hasler on his own. Hasler still going. Williams at dummy half. It comes to Vorton, that grubber kick along the ground. It's loose. Cleal scores! Crushes in! Welcome back to Brookvale. It's Cleal scores the try that will give Manly the 2 points. It was late.
So a wonderful return for Noel Cleal there. Just checking the final scores. Manly Warringah went on to win 18 points to Eastern Suburbs 10. Canterbury Bankstown, a very good win over Cronulla, 26 points to 10. And Parramatta, the reigning premiers who've been struggling all season, they seem to have picked up their act this week at least, defeating Canberra 30 to 22. Illawarra, also a very good win over Western Suburbs. Illawarra scoring 32, Western Suburbs 12. And Penrith, they've been in bad need of a win, coming up to defeat North Sydney 19 points to 10. And also another very good win to competition leaders Balmain, defeating St George 32 points to 18, while South Sydney had the bye. Now, just checking the ladder, Balmain still top, Canberra on 12, Eastern Suburbs, Cronulla, Canterbury Bankstown all on 12. There's Manly Warringah on 11 points. South Sydney on 10, followed by North Sydney, Penrith, Illawarra and Parramatta, all on 8 points, and propping up the bottom down there, St George and Western Suburbs on 5 points and 4 points. And checking the match of the day in the Brisbane Rugby League, Seagulls diehards. They got beaten last week, but this week coming up the odds, defeating Ipswich 29 points to 14. And that brings us to the end.
Tonight's entertainment is brought to you by State Bank.